Good evening and welcome to another edition of Musicview on WNYU FM. Tonight our guests on Musicview are the Gun Club, or Jeffrey Lee Pierce of the Gun Club, coughing away there in his corner. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hi.
I've read so much about you guys, that says various things about your influences and everything about you being bastard childs of blues and all that and everything. So what would you just say the Gun Club sound
I never
is?
said any of that.
Well, I'm just saying what other people have said.
I say we're just bastard childs. Bastard childs of what? I don't know. As far as blues goes, I just like it a lot and listen to it a lot. I guess it somehow gets interjected into the music. I'm not carrying the torch for blues or anything. Leave that up to blasters or something.
What other elements plug themselves into your music?
Other people. What are some other bands that play music like us?
No. What
I'm not
other?
aware of any.
That's not what I asked.
Oh.
What other elements are in your music? See, I'm trying to give you the chance here to sort of say what's
just mostly traditional. Just mostly traditional folk musics and country music. There's probably more country music in it than there is even blues. There's probably a lot of Lost Highway, Hank Williams type things. Stuff like Wade Maynard doing Old Reuben. I like that stuff more actually than blues, which is kind of a real rural, gloomy country folk type thing. Usually a 30s and 40s type stuff. And I like Howlin' Wolf too, but. So it kind of rides in between there and blues. There's all those things get into it. Lately it's come to the point where I'm not really even listening to records at all right now. And when the songs come out, they just come out like not sounding like anything you could pinpoint at all. They just all come together. There's a couple new ones. There's just we're just playing around with tuning so much that they almost sound like psychedelic, or like the Doors or something, or Love, or one of them psychedelic LA groups. But I'm not sitting around listening to the Doors and Love. I'm just playing with the guitar more, messing around with it, trying to get some weirder sounds out of it and stuff. But that's like a real ridiculously weird thing to talk about, like what kind of a band we are. I don't know. I always figured, the whole idea with the band when it started picking up and stuff was that we would retain some popularity out of not sounding like anybody else and not being able to pinpoint what we sound like. And
that's probably what you've done.
And that would be kind of ridiculous if I could pinpoint it, because then the whole thing would have been completely prescribed, which, of course was not. It wasn't prescribed. We still don't know what we're doing. I still don't know what kind of songs we're playing. The blues thing came on real strong about the time we did the record, so we were really into it now. Right now, I think we're far more into country music. And it's not an overt thing, it just happens to be what I'm listening to at the time. Most of the songs that'll be on the next record and stuff, I wrote when we were on tour. And when we were on tour, we were basically in Texas and Missouri and Tennessee and all those states, so it was really easy to come under a pretty slight country influence. Kind of nothing you could do about it. I mean, if it was, I'm sure even if it was the Human League writing songs and they spent, a month in Texas, they would have ended up sounding something like a country band. It's such a culture, it's such a lifestyle down there that it just eventually seeps into it. And I'm like always very sensitive to like where I'm at and what kind of music's popular there. And so it managed to seep in. So this record's probably I have a much more country angle than a blues angle. And blues I haven't listened to in a while, really. Not Delta blues like I used to. It just, I don't know, I just don't really listen to hardly any music right now. Except for that one Dr. John the Night Tripper record, the first one. That's a good record.
Let's hear a song right now from the Gun Club. Now, the first song we're going to hear is Promise Me. It's on the LP.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you'd like to say about the song before we play it, Jeff?
Well, nothing. Just it's just another big whining despair song. I can't think anything about it. I Never listened to it. I like playing on it. I never listened to it because I can't stand what I'm singing about on it. So.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's just all personal stuff from a long time ago, and I just, all that song is just an amber preservation of that particular point of time, which I'd like to forget, which is well over with. So.
Do you not do this song anymore live, or?
We never do it live. I refuse to do it live. But I really like the playing on it in the record. I just like the violin and everything like that. It's kind of weird sounding.
All right then, the Gun Club on WNYU Musicview would Promise Me. Promise Me from the Gun Club on WNYU Musicview. We're here tonight with Jeffrey Lee Pierce of the Gun Club. Now you're from LA, right? The band.
Well,
or environs?
We live in LA. Kind of from all over. My guitar player Ward's from LA. Me and Terry, my drummer, from Texas. And Rob Ritter, our bass player, is from Detroit. We just kind of all ended up in LA. There's really nothing to do in Detroit, and there's nothing to do in Texas. So everybody ended up in LA, which is seems to be a pretty productive city as of late. There's been a lot of good bands coming out of there. All of them. God knows what, is going to happen to any of them, but they're all there. That hardcore thing is almost completely meaningless now. I mean, all those bands are there and they have their big cult and stuff, but there's so many other really interesting bands coming out that just don't sound like anything else.
Like what? Can you give me any examples?
All great bands, like 100 Flowers.
It used to be the Urinals, right? Too?
Yeah, and the Sheiks of Shake, fabulous group. Leaving Trains. Really interesting band. Christian Death is pretty interesting. None of these bands are hardcore bands. None of these bands are what you would call new wave bands either. It's sort of like they're just like really weird, noisy, experimental kind of bands and stuff. And they have their little teeny audiences. They never play any big places. They have their little audiences in LA, and they cut their little independent records and stuff, but that's all they do.
Your bass player's in another band, right? Is it 45 Grave?
Yeah, they're not.
They're a joke.
They're not one of the bands I would mention.
I'm not very fond of them, actually. But he's still in them, right?
He quit this band to stay in that band. He's only here for the recording.
Yeah.
Because apparently he has more input in that group or something. It means more to him. This group's changed hands so many times that I'm pretty much in complete control of all the writing now. And so just kind of inadvertently ended up with almost no input except mine. Although Ward co-wrote a song that's on the next record. And Kid co-wrote a song on the last record. But it's all pretty much just in my hands just because the members have changed so many times.
When did the Gun Club first come together?
About 2 years ago. We've changed hands. We've had 3 bass players, 2 drummers, 2 guitar players, a host of sit-in people. I think about at least about 2 other sit-in bass players. Nobody's the original member in the thing but me. And it was mostly... We broke up about twice. Both times we broke up, I just sort of, was kind of encouraged by other people into keeping the thing going just because they enjoyed it a lot. And was getting me a lot of free drinks, so. But I tried to break up this band twice. I still, would just love to get rid of it sometimes. Just like, sometimes it just hangs over you like a great big, some kind of great big death chain or something, just like hanging around your neck.
Do you think that goes about...
It just really holds you back from doing a lot of stuff you'd like to do. I'd love to just go to New Orleans for a couple months or something, just live there, and I can't do that. My schedule's too.
Do you think that comes with a certain amount of success if you weren't signed to Slash and if you weren't a somewhat successful alternative radio and touring band? Do you think you would be allowed to do that within the context of the band?
Oh, sure. Within the context of the band, I could do the band anytime I want to, except that now, it's become a business, more or less, and I don't have, I can't do really, I could do half of what I'd like to do. I'd like to be in LA with my girlfriend too. I'm not. I'm here. I've been here for a month and a half. She probably won't even remember me when I get back. I mean, there's really a lot of you really do sacrifice a lot of comforts. Because I was never ever one of those serious musicians who said, okay, we're going to give up everything and we're going to do this and we're going to make it. I was just one of those people that never even liked this business, but just kept getting coaxed into it because other people believed in my talent, my writing talent or something, or believe I had good ideas, or other people coaxed me into this kind of stuff. I just never have ever been completely dedicated towards it. It's just the whole thing just reeks of to me of just a lot of real low life and just real self-destructiveness. Everybody I know in bands, everybody's just real self-destructive. There's like more people dying like right now than there ever was in this industry, and it just seems to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And I got a list of bangs just died. Somebody else just died too. Some friend of mine or something back in LA. We've had people in LA just right and left, just kicking off, just because it's just the way it is.
Well, that's an unnecessary byproduct of the industry. It's not the fault of the industry itself. It's the fault of the people who get into it.
No, it's not. Yeah.
I mean, the industry might drive it to it, but part of the problem of a lot of the LA people I met and the whole, if they, I'd like to say if they learned Darby's lessons instead of being impressed by him, maybe things would be different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like somebody I know.
Well, that whole Darby thing was just ridiculous anyway.
Right. I mean, but so many people interpreted it the wrong way. It's all Sid syndrome.
Oh yeah. Well, that was just dumb. Is all that was. It was just dumb. But
but all I'm saying.
No,
is
I don't find that to be I don't find the big fright about that thing. I don't think it's that martyrdom neurosis that people get. I certainly don't get that. I know lots of people who don't. I find to be real trying is just a constantly being away all the time, constantly being away, and just losing complete track of, just losing complete track of all organization and where you are, where you came from, what you're doing and stuff. And in a position like me, I had a pretty good little family unit that I was maintaining before we started touring. All along, such I've just completely lost track of completely. Don't know where anybody is now, where they're going, where their heads are at, or nothing. I can't be there, to look after them. I mean, I didn't have a family, but I had my girlfriend, my mother, and my sister, all of which I was kind of looking after. And, we had this big house and stuff, but since then, I don't know, the house has been sold. Who knows where any of them went and stuff. It's just the business. It's just like I guess I did make the choice to make this business the most important thing to me. And since then, I've had to sacrifice a lot of personal things to it, which is, it just makes you real sad, and it does make you self-destructive to a certain extent, but not the same kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's not to be a martyr or nothing. It's just because you get sad, just because you really don't have anywhere to go. You just go
rootless, homeless.
Yeah, you just get real homeless, and all that Hank Williams stuff comes true. Hank Williams, died trying to get some sleep in the back of a Cadillac. He took some sleeping pills in the back of a Cadillac and just kicked. And he's on route to some other damn gig. And
not a product of deliberate self-destructiveness or anything, but just, as you said before, I guess you're right, a byproduct of just trying to keep up with the industry itself.
I'm sure it's like that with all businesses and stuff like that. It's just hard to get used to. It's my first time ever being in business like this, and I am not used to it yet. And I'm not used to giving up so much privacy and giving up, so many personal things that I adore, I'm not used to giving up being able to go to the beach and just do nothing all day, which I used to be really great for my head, I can't do any of those things anymore, so it's just, I can live with it. It's just real tormenting, It's like having something hanging on you, It's like somebody hanging a great big dead weight on you and saying, go to the park and play baseball, but don't play too much, or go have a ball, but not too much.
When you feel like this, is it difficult to respond to other people's optimism about the band? Because certainly you are in terms of press, the critics and all that, a hot band. Is it difficult to respond to that when you feel the way you do? Well,
it's kind of weird for me to respond to it. It's I'm glad, people are picking up on these things. I mean, the only thing that I can say that I am doing that pleases me is everything that's happening to me, I am managing to still use the songs as an outlet for it. And, you know, what happens to me yesterday, I can put in the song tomorrow. And, you know, I am keeping my record of everything. I'm keeping my little memoirs of everything, all of which turns into the songs, you know. I mean, all the songs in the last record and on this record and everything are just memoirs. That's all they are, just all the shit that I'm going through. And that's good. You know, our people are noticing that, and you know, they're picking up on it and they're appreciating it. Some of the writers are wrong, some of them are right, but they're making the effort, and I'm real happy with it. As far as me getting all ecstatically happy when I read a good review, no, not really. Actually, I just feel relieved. You know, I wrote the song for a certain purpose. A certain writer picked up on it, and it's good. Okay, the point was made. You know, I don't run around and go, "Yay!" You know.
Let's hear another song from the Gun Club. This one we're going to hear is "Goodbye Johnny." This is off of the LP, right?
Yeah. That song's a little bit more realistic one than the others on the record. It has a lot more. It was a later one, and has a lot more to do with the kind of traveling blues, you know, that I think the whole band's locked into now. So this song more than the other songs on the record probably really is close to the way we are right now. The whole band's playing a lot like this, and all the songs are carrying this kind of vibe with them.
All right then, the Gun Club on WNYU Musicview with "Goodbye Johnny." Goodbye Johnny from the Gun Club on WNYU Musicview. We're here tonight with Jeffrey Lee Pierce of the Gun Club. Now, you mentioned something before about how Goodbye Johnny is the only song on the album you like, or something like that. Is that what you said?
It's the only one I can really listen to, because like listening to an old blues song or a country song, it's like something, you know, you listen to stuff that you can identify with. And that song, of my songs, I can identify. That record was made a very long time ago, about a little more than a full year ago. And, you know, subsequently, that was, you know, Jesus, the time between when we made that record and now feels like a million years. I mean, it feels like a whole lifetime or something. And I'm so completely changed from when it was when we were doing that, you know, that it's really hard to find stuff that you wrote like a year ago that you can really, you know, listen to and identify with that you don't think is ridiculous, you know. And a lot of that record, you know, I just think is ridiculous, especially like Jack on Fire. I just think that I can't believe I wrote it at all. It just seems completely absurd to me. Ivy's just completely absurd to me, but I understand it was just a joke that me and Kid were cracking, you know. Sex Beat's pretty ridiculous. But like, you know, Goodbye Johnny is a little bit, Goodbye Johnny, I don't know, I actually wrote that song about 1979, 78. It's maybe the oldest record, I mean the oldest song on the record. I wrote it when I was traveling a lot. When I was living in New York, I couldn't stand New York as I can't stand it now, and had to leave and go back home, except I couldn't really afford to fly home, so I took a bus. Subsequently, it took me like a week to get all the way across the country. Ended up in San Antonio, just completely broke down in San Antonio. Couldn't figure out whether I wanted to go home or live in Texas again or something. And I wrote that song in San Antonio. And now it's kind of like I was like in exactly the same mood then, and I've kind of come back around to it like about 4 years later now. I've kind of come back around to the same state of mind I was in when I wrote that song. So that song is real valid to me right now. That song's basically just I can't think of anything very nice about it, but it's very true, you know.
You mentioned that you're here in New York to record another album.
Yeah, we're recording up on 20th Street or something like that next week with Chris Stein and Debbie Harry, who are old friends of mine from way back in 1977 when I was a nice green kid, nice green romantic volatile kid, just ready to believe anything and be a big fan.
No, you were somebody told me you were president of the Blondie fan club.
Yeah, I was such a nice kid. And Chris Stein and Debbie Harry were very important people to me because they were the only. When I was just like I was just a wandering suburban kid, just like, you know, hanging around in Hollywood, just being a big fan of these new groups coming from New York, and just, you know, bugging them all, and everyone saying, "Get lost, kid, who are you?" and shit. And Debbie Harry and Chris Stein were really nice to me. They were always very sweet to me. They eventually ended up giving me a job, and I worked for them for a long time. I mean, this is like 1977. Nobody thought they were going to make it like they did. I don't think they thought they were. I think maybe back in the back of their heads they knew they'd be successful, but I don't think they thought that they would get that successful. I don't think anybody has, and everybody's still quite shocked. and I don't know. Subsequently, they're my earliest friends that I've had since the new wave thing started, and subsequently have become my truest friends, and the most on the level ones I have. And with my Slash thing, the Slash thing turned out to work against us and turned out to be a very bad position to be in.
Explain that a little for people who might not know.
Well, we just wanted to expand the music more and expand the production, and we felt that we deserved a bigger budget, and just we wanted to be able to make a good quality record, as good a quality record as like other bands have that get played in the radio and stuff. And Slash is just on an aesthetic thing that kind of goes back to the old punk rock days, that to do everything as cheap as possible and just get it out so that it's listenable. And I'm sure, as you can tell, they have the worst track record for production of any label in America.
What do you mean?
Every record they put out is horribly produced. You know, it's basically from just cutting too many corners.
What's the name of the Chrysalis subsidiary?
It's called Animal Records. So far it's us. They got Iggy. They got James Chance is cutting something on it. I think the soundtrack of Polyester is coming out. That's about all they've got. It's kind of just a small experimental thing. It's a very limited deal. They just want to kind of experiment and see what they can do with some street groups.
We'll wrap up this edition of Musicview. I'm Tim Sommer, and I'll see you next Friday at 7:30. Tonight we've been here with Jeffrey Lee Pierce of the Gun Club.
Yep.
Good night.
See y'all.